Steve here again. Thought I'd make a video and articulate some of the thoughts that have been banging around my head this summer. As I've been trying to get out of this plateau that I hit. I consider myself a basic banjo player, and I'm trying to get more into that intermediate level. The challenge is finding material or sort of a uniform way of playing. There's no curriculum to get from basic to intermediate to advanced. It's kind of an ongoing journey, and if you don't explore enough, you could really get rutted into kind of a basic skill set. And I think that's what happened to me for many years, and I'm still struggling to get out there. But I recently have been trying to open my mind to many different players, techniques, and way of looking at playing Clawhammer banjo or Frailing banjo, or old-time banjo as it can be known, and just looking at things from different angles. There's a lot of very religious points of view about how to play. I mean, it's banjo playing. How religious can you get? But and whether I like it or dislike the technique, I've been trying to explore it to see what good in those techniques are represented, and see if there's a reason or what problems they're trying to solve. And I kind of came to this sort of epiphany for myself, and I thought I'd share it. So Clawhammer or Frailing is all about the downstroke. There's no upstroke. If you're playing Scruggs style, which I don't know how to do, but it's kind of the 3-finger with you're kind of coming up on those. And but with Clawhammer, you're always going down, whether it's the thumb going down or the brush or individual strike. It's always a downward motion. And the thing about the downward motion is it can be limiting at first, and it seems all of the extra techniques you see out there is to solve for the limitations. So if you look at the basic Frailing strum that we all start learning, it starts with that strike, strum, thumb, and the strike and the strum is on the quarter beat, and the thumb comes off to break that second and fourth beat in half into the 8th note. So it's strike, strum. And we start putting together a little bit of melody by alternating on different strings. But if we want to get the break that first and third note in half, we start doing dynamics like a hammer-on. And then we can start to fabricate a bit of a melody and even have a little bit of a song. And we have the different dynamics like a pull-off, it's a and the hammer-on, and a slide. But those brushes can start to feel monotonous, so we start to make exceptions to that rule. So we go. And we can also do double thumbs, so it's. And that's all still basic Frailing. You can alternate your strums with your strikes. And you keep coming up with different combinations of all those dynamics to start to create something a little more interesting. And then we start to introduce the drop thumb. So instead of just having the thumb come off that 5th string, you have it come off other strings. So for example, you can hit the 1st string with your middle finger, and then come off the thumb comes off the 2nd string. So it's and you can alternate it. You can hit the 2nd string down with your middle finger and come off with your thumb on the 3rd string. So it goes. there's a gazillion variations of that. It's as much variety as there are combinations of strings. And the drop thumb is interesting because it starts to introduce the possibility with eighth notes being able to do an eighth note run up from the first string up. So instead of doing, you know, like if you're doing 3-finger style, you go. It's hard to do that when you're just going. You can do that as a quarter note. But if you wanted to do that as a quarter note, it's you would break your rhythm and you would go. And that's no good because you want to keep rhythm, and that's the fundamentals of Clawhammer banjo. The rhythm is fundamental. It's everything. Without the rhythm, all this fancy dynamics don't mean anything. So how do we break that? How do we do this? Let's go. But with just downward motion. Well, the way we do that is with the drop thumb. You hit the first string with your middle finger, and then the second string with your thumb, and then the third string with your middle finger. So it's... So it's still all downward motion. Well, just recently I started looking at a technique that they call round peak banjo, and it solves another problem of going down with your eighth note run. So instead of going, I should go. To do that with just downward motion, you take this finger and you pull off the string, and you alternate it between strikes. So I will strike the third string with the middle finger. I'll pull off with the middle finger over here, and then I'll strike the first string. So together that goes. And then I combine that with the drop thumb. I can go down and then back up. Mind you, I'm still a beginner trying to work on these techniques, but I'm just too excited. That's why I wanted to share. So, and then with the round peak, there's so many different flavors, and this isn't a lesson on how to do these techniques outright. It's just a discussion about putting them all together and saying, hey, there are a lot of tricks out there to solve the problem of breaking those quarter notes up into eighths. But you could pull off on just the first string, so it's a... Or if you're just pulling off the second string and striking the third and the first. You can also put that on the fourth, third, and second. So. Then you put it all together and... So there's a lot of other techniques out there, and I'm going to keep my journey with an open mind. I think I was so focused on the fundamentals of which are good. You always revisit the fundamentals. You don't want to lose that. Because you don't want to play so fast or just show off with a bunch of melody without actually being able to deliver a song. So that stays fundamental. But I was so focused on the fundamentals, I was afraid to go out and explore and try new things. And I'm going to keep exploring. Ways I've been doing that is I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, of course, like you're probably doing right now. But I've also been pulling some tabs out. And the truth is I'll forget the tabs the second I learn them. But I'll work on the song, and in the song I'll kind of, oh, I see with the tabs, it's sort of a documentation of how that particular musician played a certain song. Um, I was learning one song. It was "Soldier with a Wooden Leg," and there was one piece where they were doing the pluck and I had never seen that notation before, and it set me off on this journey to see, oh, that's round peak banjo, or people were calling it. Other people just call it a pluck. So, and the notations are good because it's sort of this documentation of people's way of playing, and it's actually still amazing that, in this day and age, you can have a written documentation that sort of captures in stone um, a physical technique on the banjo that translates into music and technique. Um, so, the journey continues, and thought I'd share. Thanks.